Well, here we are, episode 5. And you know what 5 means? Changes. I love that. Okay, I'm sorry. Y'all know how goofy I am, but I am just the best time. Okay, let me make sure that I have this on right. And I want to make sure that y'all can read this. Oh, this is the one that has the word on it. Yay! Okay. So I've been playing with some new equipment and some new cameras. And for some reason, my new cameras, like the software that I use, like flips things. So it confuses me, like the way that everything is laid out. But I didn't want to mess. I wanted to make sure that, like, when I hold it up, that it was like you could read it. Yeah. So anyway, playing with some new software, playing with some new like cameras, and I'm also doing like a lot of new stuff in my office because I have air conditioning. What? What? Ha ha ha. Hey Cindy, hey Robin. Yes, I officially have air conditioning, so wearing the long sleeves to hide the remainder of the hives, which are healing. Thank you. Um, the air conditioning is so great. Oh my gosh. And so now we're rearranging my office. I'm gonna have 2, possibly 3 little studio setups. And while we were installing the air conditioning, we also went ahead and fumigated because there was some critters coming in. I mean, what the hell? Yeah. So we got some good stuff happening tonight, people. And we are definitely going to finish this Major Arcana. I am so excited about it because I've gotten some questions from people. Maybe not questions, but like concerns, I guess, and some things that like what's going on with some of the stuff that we've been talking about. And so I just wanted to address those and make sure that I have everything laid out. Badger chose not to join me tonight, even though the air conditioning is like ready to go. It's so awesome. I'm so happy about it. And Badger was just like, yeah, you've got air now. I don't think I need to come down there. It's crazy, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So I'm down here by myself. It feels really weird too. No cats, no dog, and air conditioning. It's so great. It's 90 and humid in Ohio. Thank God for the air. Yeah, let me tell you, it hit 100 here today in Georgia. So that was pleasant. And hey, Courtney, how are you? So Courtney is in the chat on YouTube. And I know you guys on Facebook can't see the crossovers, but I can tell you Courtney is the one of the people that had some comments and some questions. So she wanted to talk about how she was like really worried about, not worried, like her concern was interpreting these cards without having to memorize them. And reading the major and the minor arcana together. We are getting to that, by the way. We're going to get to that. We're going to do spreads. That's another reason why I've been working so hard with my cameras, because I'm trying to get a second camera set up so that you guys can see a spread as I lay it out, that you can see the spread and we can play with that. And you can, like, you know, really like play with it yourself and see how you want to do your own spread. So, interpreting these cards. So the reason why I'm spending so much time, I have lipstick on my teeth, don't I? Yeah, I do. The reason why I'm spending so much time on these cards and the descriptions and stuff is because there's people will see more than one thing in it. Hey, Gretchen! have decided that I've bought some Lenormand cards thanks to Gretchen. So I'm exploring those cards. But Gretchen also brought up some really pretty cards that I saw this weekend in one of her comments, Morgan Greer cards. And so I've ordered those as well because I'm very interested in the different aspects of the tarot, which is why I want to show you guys like the different cards, we like the different aspects, and we're going to talk about each little thing in it, because sometimes when you look at a card for one client, you may see something in this card that you may not see for another client. And that has actually happened with Courtney today. I did a reading for her and I was looking at a card and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't really think about like seeing this card in that way. Then I read for somebody about 3 hours later, and I pulled the same exact card and I saw something completely different. I mean, I'm still seeing the moon card. I'm still seeing the same card, but different things jump out at me because of the card in front of it or the card behind it, or because I'm using the cards to trigger like guidance from spirit. And I do that all the time because I rely heavily on people's spirit guides when I do readings. I guess you could say I'm a lazy psychic. I want their spirit guides to just tell me what's going on. They don't always do that. They won't always just give me the answer, like, here's the winning lottery ticket. But they will dance around the subject, and when they present cards to me and they point specific things out, I listen. So this is good. All right, so tonight we're starting with my lucky number, 13. And we're starting with the death card. Now, this was another thing that Courtney mentioned to me today, is the reason why she was so hesitant to use the tarot is because of some of the taboo cards, like the Tower and the Devil and Death. Like, those were really taboo cards. And a lot of the oracle cards don't have those kind of intense messages, right? Well, we're going through all of those tonight. Death, Tower, the Devil, all of them. We're going through all of those. So let's start with Death, right? And did I get the lipstick off? No, I didn't. Sorry, y'all. My phone is going crazy and I tried to turn it off, but okay. So we've got the Death card, right? Now, the Death card is not necessarily about dying. It can be, right? It can be like misconstrued. It can be about someone dying, but what it really is the ending of something. And it's more like a transition too, because nothing ever really ends. Like, there's a circle of life. We feed it, right? If something in nature dies, then it collapses, the earth absorbs it, and it feeds the next thing. There's always a circle. There's always more stuff going on. So in this death card, look at all of the aspects, right? So we see a couple of people like on the ground. We see one laying on the ground, and death is actually trampling over them. Then we see the priest, right? The sun is over here way in the back. Do you see that? The sun is coming up. And to me, it also looks like it's coming up over like a city, towers. Because in this one, it really looks like it's coming up above towers. Do you see that? It looks like the sun is coming up above those towers, which could indicate a castle or it could indicate a city. You can, excuse me, you can see the mitre better on this guy and see that this really is a priest. Same thing down here at the bottom, though. We've got somebody that is really being walked over by death, and we've got somebody that's slumped over here, and then we've got a little guy which could be a child, or it could be just a smaller person. But this one is in prayer. Look at that. So when we're looking at that, when we're thinking about that, oh, wait. And death itself is wearing a suit of armor on a white horse, and it's a skeleton. I don't know if you guys have noticed that before, but this is definitely a skeleton wearing a suit of armor. And here's the other depiction, which you can't see as well because it's a suit of armor, but you can see the skeleton face, the skeletal face, in this one a little better. Now, I've had some disagreements with a couple of people in the know about the tarot. My first disagreement was about that I was like, is that the Tudor rose in that flag? Okay, I have a little bit of a thing with history, but this flag looks like the Tudor rose. Okay, and the Tudor rose incorporated Lancaster and oh my gosh, York. Sorry. So the Tudor rose incorporated Lancaster red and York white, and it brought them both together because those two united the houses and ended the War of the Roses, right? Now, so we had some theories because these cards were very popular during Queen Elizabeth's time, and this was the wife of Henry VII. So it could be the Tudor rose on the death card. There's a multitude of things here that the Tudor rose meant the death of the War of the Roses, that it meant the end of that, but there's a multitude of things here. But some people have argued with me that it wasn't necessarily the War of the Roses. I mean the Tudor rose, that it was a white and red rose that was a symbol of pure and true love. The rose with 5 petals represents the 5 senses of material life, combined with the immortality of the heart and soul. So there's the red and the white combination. Yeah. So this is sometimes the skeleton, sometimes death riding here, is wearing a robe instead of a suit of armor. Sometimes he will also be carrying a scythe. That used to cut down the wheat. Sometimes he's carrying those. But it's all, whatever it is transformative. Okay. It's transitional stuff here. The sun rising in the background represents resurrection. Other decks show barren backgrounds. Some have severed body parts just randomly throughout there, or they'll show the decay of a bird. I know. This rarely, and this is in a couple of texts that I looked at, it rarely depicts the foreshadow of death. Not to say that it can't ever, but it rarely depicts that. Rather, it means the end or the death of something, like a cycle, or, like today when I was looking at it, one of the ladies I read for, I was like, wow. I kept thinking to myself, this woman is having a hard time letting go of this relationship. And she's having a hard time letting go of the relationship that she knows is over, but she doesn't want to acknowledge that. And since she's not acknowledging it, it's dying on the vine. And it's like she's trying to breathe life into something that is dead. Yeah. So this can also indicate the limited nature of someone's ego. Because if somebody has a big ego, what it does is it really limits them in their personality growth. This does herald new life. It's one of these depictions has a tree of life. It is not either of the depictions that I have. And I haven't been able to wear my ring still, so I don't have my tree of life ring. This card represents transition, rebirth, renewal, and it signifies a change is about to occur or a period of change. It could also be not just one change, but like a period of change. So now it's time to put the past behind you. And this is where you're called on to face the future. You're called on to face the rising sun. I like that. I like that. So if you get this card in reverse, if you're reading this in reverse and you get this card in reverse, this could be something where you're lapsing into stagnation. You're lapsing into a place where you're not moving. Because if you don't have death, you can't have rebirth, right? If you don't have an ending, you can't have a beginning. So this is where we also need to think about if we're using it in reverse, that it could also indicate disaster coming if you're reading it in reverse. Because again, if you're not acknowledging like the ending of something, it could cause a bigger disaster. Yeah. Oh, so this might be a time to motivate yourself in a different way. Motivate yourself in a new way. So, death is never final. It is a state of transition. Let's just keep that in mind, shall we? As we're looking at this, obviously nobody wears suits of armor anymore. So this is sort of antiquated. However, when we look at this and we go, okay, the old ways have to be destroyed to make room for something that's coming, that could also be what is happening here. Because this person that's laying on the ground looks like an old man. And it may be time to like shuffle out the old. In both cards, he has gray hair. To shuffle out the old and embrace the new, especially this new little guy that is sitting there and he's in prayer, in meditation, however you want to call it. Okay, this can also represent if you are facing something with fear. It's hang on just a second. I'm looking at my notes. Sorry. This is a metamorphosis. And if you're looking at it with fear, or if you've reached an impasse with like your job or your relationship or whatever's going on, and you have to find something new to work it out, this could come up in a reading. I know. It is my lucky number, 13. Okay, let's move on to temperance. Okay, now there's several things that I love about the temperance card. All right, first of all, there's so many things that are elements in this card. All right, so we've got earth, fire. In this one, it really looks like it's a crown coming up over a mountain, like mountainy, and a path that's going back to it. So that is like a new beginning, a path there. But the fact that temperance has 1 foot on land and 1 foot on water is a big deal. Now, in this card, you really see that temperance is pouring water from one chalice to the next, from one cup to the next, right? In this one, you don't see the liquid as much. There's more of a representation of air. However, the wings on both represent air. So we've got earth, water, and air, right? And then I was just like, okay, so I've got a lot of this here. But it's there is like in this one, that's what I wanted to show you. It's not a crown in this one as much as it looks like a rising sun. So it's fire. On this one, it really feels like a crown in that part right there. So again, it's sun. So we're looking at all of the elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. This suggests like moderation of all things. Balance, 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 right? When we're looking at all of the cards, it's all about balance. When we're looking at something that encompasses all of the elements, we need to look at balance. And especially if you're trying to balance things out. So this is about moderation is the best way to put it. Taking a little bit at a time. Easy does it. Easy does it. And not rushing into something, because that's not what temperance's job is, right? I mean, not rushing in. A little step at a time. Still on land, but stepping into the water, right? Okay. This is about when you usually get this in a reading, you're trying to caution somebody to maybe have some patience or maybe not overdo it as much. Hey, Danielle, how are you? Yes. Okay, Courtney, when you see wings a lot, that will represent air because wings are in the air. You don't need wings if you're just walking around on the ground. Although turkeys have wings, right? They don't really fly that much. But I have seen them fly. Turkey vultures fly. Okay. So, this is not a time to hurry matters along. This is a time to sit and wait and develop things in their own time. The trick is to make the waiting constructive. That's a hint there. There's also a little bit of a moon cycle here because temperance is 14. And sorry, my phone is going crazy. Because temperance is 14, and usually like the new moon and the full moon are 14 days away from each other because we're looking at a 28-day cycle. So temperance does have to do with the moon cycles as well. So even though there is not a moon present on the card, I automatically look at the calendar when I get this card for somebody, and I check to see where the moon is. Are we in the new moon phase, the full moon phase? How close are we there? You know what I'm saying? Hey, Kelsey, how's it going? So that's just something to be aware of. This is also, I mean, because 14 is midway between, right? Is exactly midway between the full cycle of the moon. So that's usually when you have like new moon on day 1, full moon on day 14, or something like that. Okay. The other thing is that in a couple of these descriptions that I looked at, the temperance was indicative of Archangel Michael. Now, I can totally believe that. And Archangel Michael, to me, has a lot to do with fire. Because he's a fighter, he's a warrior, and he comes in with a big sword, right? So this also can be like a symbol of Archangel Michael. So if we have a symbol of Archangel Michael, and I cannot get my phone to shut up. I'm so sorry. I've turned it off and it's still chiming. So this is standing in a river of light and pouring the water of life from the sun vessel to the moon vessel. So when you look at these vessels, one can represent the sun and one can represent the moon. The chalices that he's holding. Now, I say that because the sun does give the light to the moon, right? The moon is the reflection of the sun. It's very interesting, this card is. So this card represents the direct path or the direct mystical ascent to a state of spiritual illumination. So sometimes when I get this card, it's not just telling the person that I've drawn it for to slow down and use moderation, but maybe it's saying, hey, you're really walking your path. You're really in your spiritual path. You're really doing what, like, how you've been guided to do. And there's lilies here. Y'all know, I always think of the lilies and then think of the Trinity. Yeah. This card represents balance, coordination, the ability to live in harmony. Again, balance, right? With all the elements, harmony. Drawing this card can suggest that you embody all of these qualities, or your attitude towards life is a strong sense of personal integrity. So usually people that think before they act do have a sense of personal integrity. Your business and personal affairs. I'm sorry. If you get this in reverse, sorry, I have to go back to my notes. If you get this in reverse, your business and personal affairs are competing with each other. Yeah. Or they could be competing with each other. I guess that's a good way to put it. God, trying to turn pages when I have so many notes out. So this could make things feel unstable. It could make you feel like you're not standing on solid ground. And I have no idea what just happened. That is so strange. Is everybody still with me? Oh my gosh. This is the craziest thing. This is so weird. Somebody literally jumped into my team. Somebody jumped into my thing and kicked me off. That was really weird. I didn't know anybody could do that. I got to check all the logins that I have because somebody jumped in and kicked me off. That is the weirdest damn thing. Okay, there's a lesson here. True harmony, integrity become possible when you learn to balance the material and spiritual aspects in your life. So that's a big deal with this card. This was so strange. Kelsey, I don't know what happened. And yeah, it was weird. It just somebody jumped into my stream and kicked me off. I had to put myself back in. Very, very strange. Okay. All right. So now we move on to another taboo card. The devil. Okay. Now, I want you guys to look closely at these two cards that I have. Sorry, I'm trying to keep everybody in order here. Okay. So, I want you guys to look closely at these cards. They are both slightly different. So, these guys look like they have their hands behind their backs, like they are truly chained up, right? And these guys, their hands are free. They're moving around and they look like they've embraced being chained up. Very, very different cards. And I get very different interpretations with them. It's very interesting. So we've got the ram horns on the devil, on both of the devils, and the wings, the bat wings. So it's just a lot of imagery for the devil, right? Now, as far as I'm concerned with the devil, and if we're looking at these cards as coming from medieval times, and yes, Kelsey, you're right. This is a very creepy card. It is. The medieval devil with the hooves and the pitchfork and all of that. these chains that are around the people's necks that are at the devil's feet are loose. And it looks like they could, in this one, it looks like they could slip it right off and just ease out. Right? But in this one, these guys look like they're they're tied in pretty tight. And their hands look like they're chained behind their back. It's a very different imagery. Some of them show like their faces that are half hidden under like some sort of mask. In some decks, he has the pentagram is moved around. It's not on his forehead. There's a variety of like opinions about this. Some say that this is like the consummate evil, and some say this is a mythical creature, and some see it as like just human indulgence. Some look at it as ignorant, like there's like showing your ignorance in this card, ego, greed, or just being irresponsible. Some decks go as far as to rename the card oppression, which is very different from the devil, oppression. And they try to remove any religious thing from it by saying it's not a devil, but it's just like a religious. I mean, try to remove yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, exactly, Gretchen. It's ego. So this is a big deal. Now, some people do see that Kelsey says this is the creepiest card in the deck. Some people see this as a very alarming card. But it doesn't necessarily reflect satanic forces. It doesn't necessarily like say this is evil intent. This is the horn god from pagan times, just to let you know. And it was banned by the Catholic Church. There's a shocker. But when the devil shows up in the reading, it's time for you to reevaluate your relationship to material things. Ego, right? Like Gretchen said, ego, greed, irresponsibility, overindulgence. These are some very important things. You may need to confront your fears about financial security, social and material success. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. It also could signify that you are preoccupied with worldly or material goods, worldly or material concerns. It can also mean that you are clinging compulsively to beliefs or ideas that are limiting you and holding you back. Your fears should not rule you. And you need to, and this may be a place where you need to trust your inner guidance more. You need to listen to that spiritual, like your spiritual self. It could also mean that you are being tempted. Maybe you're being tempted by some unethical behavior or some inappropriate behaviors, some inappropriate use of force, some inappropriate like bunch of stuff. Sorry, everything is going crazy over here. It's like I fumigated and got rid of the damn bugs, got air conditioning, and now my electronics are just going ape shit. I need my cats down here. Really. Okay. This could also mean that you are a victim of vanity or pride. I'm very vain, so yeah. The reverse meaning. Let's take a look at the reverse meaning, okay? Oh, and here's another one just before I get to the reverse. We've also created a bondage for ourselves. We've also created that place of bondage for ourselves. And this could be like a shadow side. It could be some bad habits, but this is something that we have created for ourselves. So we are the ones that have the keys to unlock and release ourselves. Um, the obstacles in the environment may be frustrating, or you may feel like your opinions are narrowing. But you have the ability to free yourself, even if you have to use willpower. Okay, so now let's look at the reverse. The reverse is when you've removed all the obstacles that are impeding your path. So that's a good thing. And you can now see your way forward. You've overcome your emotional shortcomings and have found your inner truth. And you can see through the shallow nature and material pride and vanity. If you feel like you are trapped in a situation and you don't feel like you have any control, this is where you look closely at your own attitudes and beliefs, and you'll see that they're causing the problems, and you can free yourself. So there's a lot to the devil card, and it's not exactly the scary pitchfork guy that's just like, I'm coming after you and you're gonna, burn in hell for millions of years. We create that shit all on our own. So, and personally, I think we create hell on earth. So, now the next card. I'm determined to finish these cards tonight. So we may go over an hour, but I'm determined. The next card is dun dun dun. The The tower, the tower, the tower. Now, I want you to look closely at these two different depictions. All right. They are the same, but slightly different. So in this card, it doesn't necessarily like it. I see lightning coming off of it up here, but I don't see lightning as the cause of it. I see this as an inner explosion. That's my vision for this card, is that I see it's an inner explosion and it's starting from the top and coming down. In this card, it's the lightning is coming in. The lightning is coming in and it's blowing the top right off. It's blowing that crown right off. In both depictions, the queen in this still has her crown on. Just to let you know, the queen is still holding on to her crown. So she's like, no, we're going to get through this, damn it. I'm ready. The king has lost it. He is not in a place where he's going to be able to recover. See? He's lost it in both cards. So to me, this is there's a lot of clouds on both of them that indicates like probably lack of communication, because clouds and foggy areas, it doesn't give you that that sense of clarity that you need. Anytime you get fog or clouds and stuff, you're either parting it and getting some clarity, or there's a lot of fog and cloud around the situation and you can't see it clearly. So maybe these people did not see clearly the disaster that was coming, right? But it's pitching them forward. It's getting them out, and it's burning that shit to the ground. Yeah, I know. Okay, so the depiction here is a stone tower or some sort of fortress, and usually it takes a lot to destroy a fortress, right? Because even my friend Jen that is in Scotland right now, I mean, she's showing a lot of pictures and stuff of things that are like really, really old that have been around since medieval times, right? And those fortresses are hard to destroy. So as we have a fortress-like construction, the tower is falling down or being destroyed, often by fire or lightning. And when the tower's crown is being blown off of some depictions, like this one, it blasts. It's by a fiery impact. The blast catapults human figures out of the windows, and the implication is that forces of heaven are angry and they are attacking the structure. Yeah. So the the tower card tends to alarm people. All right. It tends to like scare people into thinking that this is a tragedy, I guess. But the tower card is not super scary. It is a big change, it is a big upset, it is a big upheaval. However, if you don't destroy some of those towers, and some of those towers are really dangerous to live in towards the end of the Middle Ages because of the amount of mold in them. It's not like they were super insulated. You know, again, it's not like they had the ye old Home Depot down the street that they could just go and buy insulation for. So there was really a lot of dampness. There was a lot of mold. I can't even imagine what their clothes smelled like. These people only bathed like a couple of times a year. I just, yeah. Hey, Cassie. Hey, Catlin. Okay, so the Tower card. This signifies that your current plans and projects are selfish or they will come to nothing. Because again, this is a depiction that heaven or the forces of heaven are attacking the tower and casting out the occupants. You will find yourself in a situation of conflict or change that could be catastrophic or have really big changing consequences. Everything that you have taken for granted is about to be challenged. I know. Whatever this is about, disruption, it's about adversary. The tower is forecasting for the best. The adversity that I think comes from the tower is always that you can rebuild, because look at both of these depictions. They're built on solid ground. They're built on rock on both of these. So it's not the foundation that's being destroyed. It's being destroyed from the top down. So it's not the foundation that's being destroyed. It's the most recent shit. Just to let you know. The tower represents overthrowing false beliefs and habits that do not serve you. In a sense, this is not a negative card, but it can be a positive one because there is some kind of loss, whether it's personal or financial, but the catastrophic event that is being foreseen, if you're aware of it, you may be able to take care of these facts. You may be able to take care of it better. Because let's face it, there is nothing engraved in stone, right? No future is engraved in stone. It can always be changed. Now, sometimes we can just change it and delay it for a while. Sometimes we can change it and make things better. Sometimes we get the opportunity to make things better. And sometimes people are like, well, that's just what's going to happen. And they just accept it. Not necessarily. When I get the tower card for clients, I will tell them there's something happening and you can take hold of it. You can make this chicken salad or chicken shit. I heard that in a movie. It's your life. What do you want to do? Do you want to make chicken salad or chicken shit? That's good. It makes me think of how spirit moves you from a place when you haven't listened and you moved yourself. Oh my gosh, that happens to me so much. Do you know how often this happens to me? That I won't move. I won't move from a situation. I won't move from a job. I won't move from a relationship. I won't move until spirit forces me to. I get the tower card a lot. Okay, in my personal spread. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So then I lost my place. So this could be some kind of loss, but if you're aware of it, then you can face these facts, and it may not be as hard as it needs to be. But whatever's going on, something has served its purpose, and it needs to go. It needs to move on. If we're looking at this in a reverse situation, you're refusing to change old habits or old patterns, and you will suffer continual disruption and unforeseen difficulties until you finally make some changes in your life. That's serious. Mm-hmm. The thing is, you don't need to limit yourself. You don't need to say this is the only way that this can happen. The process of change has already begun. You need to go with the flow and not try to resist what will happen, or you'll receive more consequences. Again, this is in the reverse position. If you are suppressing feelings of grief, anger, or disappointment, let these feelings go, and your life will soon change for the better. So the Tower card, not so bad, right? Not so bad. I know, I love this. So, moving on to another favorite of mine. Seriously, we're getting to all of my favorites here at the end. Okay, the Star. Ah. Okay, so the Star. Now, obviously, these are really, really similar. These are a lot more similar than the other cards. The ones that I really wanted to point out is in this card, the bird that is in this tree back here really, really looks like a dove. And in this one, it looks like a flamingo. I don't know. It may just be like me looking at it like that. The star usually portrays a nude female figure in or beside a pool of water, pouring from two jugs. She's pouring one on land and one back into the water. This is showing the connection between the two feminine elements, earth and water. The naked woman represents unveiled truth and purity. Oh, God, just knocked my cards down. Represents unveiled truth and purity, and the jug that she contains is the water of life. Some of the water is being returned to the source, and some is being used to infuse the land with new life. That's why she's pouring one jug back into the water, and one jug she's pouring on land. See, she's pouring that onto land. It's a little better in this one. You can see it a little better in that one. The background of this card displays stars. There's a shocker. Many decks show a subsidiary of stars. Some are arranged to reflect a portal. Sometimes a circle or a halo around the woman, and the stars sparkle above a pastoral landscape. This card has a lot of water in it, depicting peace. It usually has yellow as optimism, and blue is another color of peace. So I would say that's true in both of these cards. So the interpretation again is there is the tree of life is represented in the back, and that she's drawing from her inspiration, the golden star, which dominates the sky. The star goddess transmits precious life energy from the golden star down to the world below. Different ones. Okay, so this can mean inspiration. Everything about this card is very positive. It means you've been truly blessed. You will receive gifts of love, spiritual guidance. Your life will be filled with purpose and happiness. Your intuitive powers are enhanced at this time. A new gate has been opened for you, new possibilities. Sometimes there's a shooting star in the back, which is the harbinger of good luck. It's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of stuff. So if you are if you're looking at this in the direct, like straight up way, upright, this is a time of optimism and self-confidence. You feel good about yourself, your place in the universe. You've been preparing for this really positive stuff that's going on. Good things are about to be manifested: money, possessions, love, recognition, health, all of it. Because you are flowing with the energy of the universe. So keep that in mind. New opportunities for your career or your relationship are opening up. Now, I always get this when I feel like somebody needs a cleansing. So I'll get this when, like, sometimes when I'm doing card pulls for myself, which, I don't like to do that much, but I'll get this and I'm like, what's going on? And then I'll just go ahead and do a cleansing. Like, let's just go ahead and spiritually cleanse this place. Let's just go ahead and like run, some lavender or some Palo Santo, or burn some of my smudge around. Let's just go ahead and do that. Let's give it a good cleanse, shall we? So that's also something that I see in this card. Balance is key. Peace is also a big deal. But this is a time when, again, your intuitive powers can be greatly enhanced. If you get it reversed, then you're trying to move on your path in a private way without really paying attention to like the material world, the outside world. This is where if we're moving on our path and we're not doing it spiritually, this could mean that we have a lack of judgment. It could also mean you need to check in on your health. It could mean like some